Hi, my name is Tim Prukop. I've been coaching at Northwest Little League for several years. So in this video, we're going to talk to you about three specific aspects of batting. The first is balance, the second is coil, and the third is crush. Okay, let's talk about the balance position. All great athletes, whenever they're executing an athletic movement, are in a good balance position. A good balance position starts by having your player first get in a position where his feet are about shoulder width apart, his toes are pointing straight ahead. You'll notice sometimes kids' feet will be pointed out or be pointed in. You want to concentrate them on a balanced position, means their toes are pointing straight ahead. And then they're going to go ahead and sit down as if they were receiving a snap from center or they were getting ready to turn the button on the TV. When you're in a good balanced position, there should be a line that is drawn from your toe through your knee up into your shoulder. The second step is what we call coil. And this is the position that a player gets into just before he starts to swing towards the ball. And for us, we talk about the coil position because from our perspective, when you're properly coiled, the bat is all the way in position where the only place that it can go is forward. And when you decide to release and swing at the ball, you're in a position where the only thing you can do is go forward. That's a good coiled position. One of the common errors that young ball players have is when they get back in that what we call the coil position and the ball starts to come towards them, a lot of times they'll take one more hitch going back before they start their forward swing. And a lot of times that throws off the timing and it forces them to miss the ball and it gets their head moving. What we want to do in our coil position is get to a point where the only thing you can do from here is go forward. So there's no place that you can go back any further. The last step in the batting process is what we call crush. So after the player's gotten himself into a good balanced position, he's gotten himself coiled in a position where he can really drive the ball with power. When he makes the decision to start swinging the bat, that's what we call the crush. On the T drill with one hand, the goal of the drill is to get the bat from this position into the hitting zone as quickly as possible and not let the bat fall off here. That's the main thing. And when you're coaching this drill, what you're watching is you're watching the hand up through the bat so that you can see that the bat travels in that path and the bat doesn't travel in this path. But you want to make sure that the T is in front of the front foot of the batter. This is how you instruct the player in the drill. The first thing that you say, just like always, is you say, okay, Tristan, give me a balanced position. He's balanced. Second of all, go ahead and get coiled at the coiled position. He's going to release his right hand on the top, and all he's going to hold the bat with is his left hand. And I'm going to give him the terminology: balance, balance, coil, crush. You want to make sure that the player doesn't release until you've given him the coil command. And you want to make sure that there's not a rhythm where it's always the same. Because the player needs to get used to being stuck in that coil position and then making the decision to actually release. Balance, coil, crush. So the next drill is what we call the two-handed crush drill. And the goal of this drill is to teach the player two things. First of all, to go ahead and swing as hard as he possibly can so he gets the feeling of what it feels like to swing the bat firmly. And secondly, it's to keep the head still. So when you're doing the two-handed crush drill, you want to make sure that you talk to the player about putting a post between his chin, his knee, and his foot, and that as he uncoils from the coil position, that his chin, his knee, and his foot stay in the same line. And that's what keeps the head still as he's swinging the bat. Remember, the goal of this drill is that the player feels what it's like to coil up on the back leg and release with force on the ball. That's the goal of the drill. And your eyes as a coach need to be on from his chin to his waist to make sure that that head is staying still. All right, Blake, let's go ahead and really release on the ball here. Give me a balanced position, coil, crush. A nice swing right there. Balance, coil, crush. The last in the series of these three drills is what we call soft toss. The player has learned how to get in a balanced position. The player has learned how to bring the bat from this position into the hitting zone. The player has learned how to coil and release and keep his head still. Now we're going to tie all three together with the ball actually in motion. The goal of this drill is learning how to put your bat on the ball that's in motion. You want to make sure that you get nice and balanced, that you coil into position where the only thing you can do is go forward, and when you decide to release, hit it as hard as you can. Got it? Keep that head still. Here we go. Balance, coil. So we've explained the 3 fundamental drills that you can use to teach your players how to be more successful batting. What we suggest is every time you have a batting practice, you start with the first 20 minutes of your cage time by setting up 3 stations in the cage where you're doing the one-handed tee, the two-handed crush, and the soft toss. After you've had the players go through each of those 3 stations twice, then we go to the live batting cage. This is where the player pulls all of these techniques together and actually hits a ball. One of the key things to do in the batting cage is to make sure that the player coils when the pitcher brings the ball back and starts the pitch. Balance, coil, crush. Very nice.